If you find yourself right now, or maybe you found yourself in a place where you really wanted to do God's will, you wanted to know God's will in your situation, but it wasn't so cut and dry. It wasn't straight out of the scriptures. There wasn't a verse that applied to it. So you weren't sure what to do, and you had some anxiety, maybe some struggle with what decision do you make? And you weren't comfortable going to the left or to the right because you didn't know if it was God's will or not. Well, I want to share just a word of encouragement with you today that I hope may help you real quick and easy to find God's will in a not so clear situation. I recently found myself in one of those situations. As a matter of fact, as recently as yesterday and today, one of those situations where I didn't know, and it's at the moment, am just kind of discovering which way I need to go. And it's a very high stakes decision that can really impact my family and not just me. So I want to encourage you on that today. And in Acts chapter 22, verse 10, Paul meets Jesus on the road to Damascus. And he says this after he meets Jesus. He says, "What shall I do, Lord?" And maybe you're in that same place. What shall I do? Well, the answer is hidden in the Lord's Prayer of 4 words. And I'm going to give it to you real quick. And it's this: thy will be done. Thy will be done. And I think when Paul asked the Lord this question, he was resolutely already determined to do whatever the Lord revealed to him. And that is the secret to knowing God's will quickly and clearly when it's not so clear. So George Mueller, I want to say he was back in the 1800s and in England, and God called him to run an orphanage by faith. He basically just trusted God to provide not only the children, but also all the funding, because he had it on his heart that he wanted God to get all the glory out of the work that he had called him to do. And so he makes this statement. And as I was praying about it late last night and this morning, it really came clearly into my mind to remember what he said. And he said this: he said, 90% of finding the will of God in your situation is found in surrendering to the Lord, no matter what he says, no matter what it is. Think about that. Thy will be done. So if we're struggling to find the will of God and see exactly what it is, do I go to the left or do I go to the right? 90% of finding the answer from God is coming to him and surrendering ahead of time to whatever he says. And I know in my own case, I've kind of have found myself in a similar situation of potential suffering and hardship, if you will, that I've gone through before in the past. And I don't know if you're like me, but I kind of get comfortable and I want to say, Lord, I really don't want to suffer. I don't want any hardship. I don't want to go through any kind of angst right now. Things are going real nice and easy. The sun's shining, the wind's blowing. And Lord, I don't want to go in the direction that could be a storm. Maybe not, maybe it could be. But I want you to know that the secret and kind of what I've been struggling with that angst is simply really not struggling with what to do. It's struggling with surrendering to God no matter what he does. And so I want to encourage you to do that. And if you're struggling to surrender, and maybe you're like me, it's not the easiest thing to do. I'm kind of a strong-willed, type A personality. So it's not always the easiest thing for me to do is surrender. I get there, but it's not so easy. Maybe it should be. But one of the things that helps me, and I want to pass this on to you, is you can pray for God to help you do what you need to do. You can pray for God and ask him to help you do what you need to do, but you're struggling to do. And so maybe it's surrendering to God's will, marry this person or not, take this job or not, move from this location or not, this city, that city, whatever the case is. So all you have to do is come before God and say, Lord, I know that you're calling me to surrender to you. And that's 90% of the battle of knowing your will. But Lord, I don't want to surrender to you. I'm struggling to surrender to you. And all you got to do is this: say, Lord, help me to surrender to you. That's it. Say, Lord, I come today. I want to surrender. But Lord, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And all you have to do is say, Lord, help me to surrender this to you. And you will be amazed at how he helps you to surrender. You may not even get to the next part of that prayer, and your spirit will be surrendered to God. And you'll just be flowing, discovering his will, carrying it out. So I hope that this was an encouragement to you today, and that if you're in that place and trying to determine God's will for you, that's not cut and dry in the scriptures, surrendering to him now, ahead of time, is 90% of the battle to discovering God's will. And as soon as you get in that place, it will be revealed to you, and you will be able to head on and obey God and be blessed. Well, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.